So as I reflected this week about what I wanted to share with you from my journey to India, was I didn't want to just tell you about experiences, but rather I would rather share with you something that is practical that you can use. Because I'm a real believer that spirituality without practical use is really wasted. It almost goes back to that song by, I think it was The Who, Wasted Youth. No, it was Meatloaf. Meatloaf did that song, Wasted Youth. And that's what I think so much of the time when we're in our spiritual thing and we're not practicing spirituality, we're not living it, it's really wasted time. Why are we bothering to waste our time? We're in a physical body right now to experience life through all of its magnificence, because here we are, we've got our five senses, we've got an intuitive sense, that is the sense that we connect with the divine, so we have everything available to us right now, and yet we're allowing ourselves to be boxed in by views of society, by views of churches, by views of politics, and then we're boxed in by all of these views, and we're not living our lives to the fullest when we have all the potential within us to do so. And so I'm saying, okay, let's break that bond, and let's start looking at life. How do we do it differently? So as I thought about what would we talk about today, I thought it would be how we communicate. Because that's what we're doing all the time. Our mouths are uttering words, or our ears are hearing words. And sometimes what we're uttering is nothing but a bunch of nonsense. And so as I reflected, I thought back on what happened as I went with all of the gurus and I studied with them, as I reflected on how they responded to all of the various situations. Now keep in mind, one of the things that you've got to admire about a guru in India is they are in the midst of chaos beyond anything you and I have ever experienced. I mean, there is a literal blasting of your senses from every possible aspect. Chennai, 22 million people crawling over each other in traffic, catch an Uber, go 5 miles in 2 hours, honking everywhere. In the midst of the street, there are stray dogs, there are cows, there are humans, there are bicycles, there are motorcycles, there are tut-tuts, and there are cars, and there are buses. Who knows what else could be hidden amongst that? And there is no such things as lines in the road. They do not exist. And then you've got the smells of India. And the smells go from every possible way you can imagine to the other side of the coin. And so there you are, and to think that the Indian people are more conscious than the Americans, that is not a true statement. There are a few that are conscious. Most are living in an unconscious state of trying to survive. And so in the midst of that, you have these lights, these beings of light that are walking amongst everyone. And so you look and say, so what makes them unique? And so when I looked at this idea of communication, this is what I came up with. I called it communicating from a spiritual perspective. Don't talk unless it's asked for. Unless there was something profound that wanted to come out from the guru to share, the guru did not speak. Unless you specifically asked the guru about something that you desired that was relevant, the guru then spoke. But then as far as insignificant conversations, there was none. What you found was there was silence. So there you are, on one of our trips, we spent 8 hours going from Bangalore out into this distant field, 8 hours away, where we found this 3,500-year-old temple, and we went there, and that's where Niranjan and I received Diksha from the Guru, where we got a special mantra that's going to help us move to another level of awareness. But in that journey, I was sitting next to Guruji Karunamaya. He's the guru that probably in July we will have here at Agape. He will be coming to the United States, and I've already got that time booked of bringing him here because I want you to experience the energy. I want you to see the difference of energy of the type of being that we're talking about. And we would be there, and he'd be quiet. Next thing you know, something would come. He would be tapped into infinite wisdom. And keep in mind, when they're tapped in, they know what you're thinking. I wouldn't even have to question. And he would start talking about various spiritual truths and how you apply them. And then I would explore questioning, and we would talk. Then there would be silence. Then Niranjan may have a question, And he would answer. But then there was silence. There was never, ever what we call in America small talk. And that at first was very difficult. I don't know how you are, but if you're with someone, you feel compelled to talk. Am I right, Brickman? All the time, we're compelled to talk. Don't laugh at Brian because I can pick on all of you. We're compelled to talk, and I have that same thing. And what I've come to understand is I have least desire to be compelled to talk when I'm with my wife. Because if there's ever been any small talk, we've done it. And so now when we go out to dinner, we'll talk about something of relevance, but otherwise we are silent. And it's very comfortable to be in company with someone who is coming from that perspective, who understands that silence is the ultimate communication. It says, I'm perfectly comfortable. I'm able to be me in the silence with you. I do not fear any judgment of any sort. I do not feel a compulsion to speak. Think about that, how powerful it is. So as you consider going through your life and you're about to say something, ask, is it relevant? Is it necessary? Does it bring love? Next, when you talk, see that your statement doesn't contain anything but love. So what does that mean? It means, am I accepting of the other person from where they're coming from? See, love is the ability to accept people where they are, to be in non-judgment of people, to understand that everyone is on their own unique and perfect journey, and who are we, I, or the government or religion, to critique anyone for finding their unique and their perfect path. And one of the things that was really clear with Guru Karunamaya was, he said, smile. He said, Lee, this is your greatest challenge. Because you get so intense. You're so passionate about what you teach, and you don't have a big grin on, and people take you way too seriously. You got to laugh at yourself more. Life is about experiencing that laughter. So that's my goal for the next year. I've set that as an intention that I will try to carry a smile more than I ever have. And in carrying the smile, you see, when you're smiling, you can't take things seriously. Because if you take things seriously, what happens? Your butt puckers, except it's on your face. That's what I realized. I looked in the mirror and I said, oh, I'm serious. Oh, look at my butt pucker up here. Well, wait a second. That's not a good thing to do. You never thought you'd hear butt pucker at a service, did ya? Don't worry, I'll weave some others in before I'm done. And it's really interesting because a smile, put a smile on your face. How does that feel? Okay, pucker up. Feel that? Now you know what your butt feels all day. No. It doesn't feel good. That's the only point I want to make. It's about smiling. It's about smiling means you're in love with life, that you're living life, you're fully engaged in life, and you see the advantage of life, you see the beauty of life, you see the contrast of life, you see that there's so much life to reach out, grab, and experience, no matter what the situation is. Here's what I understand is there is a law of cause and effect that is always working, and that law of cause and effect responds to the nature of our thought, not just our individual thought, but our mental atmosphere. In that, we must understand that if that nature of thought is this, we will attract everything like that to ourselves. So we must be happy with that. We must be grateful for that because why? Because we are actually creating it. Whether we like it or not, we're creating it. And when we have that realization that we're creating it, we then have the understanding that if I change my mental atmosphere, I can now create something completely new and different. Whoa, is that powerful? To think about this, that if you change your mental atmosphere, if you work at, you have the power to change your experience. That is the most powerful gift that we have as part of the infinite being that we call God. We're individualizations of it. So the power that creates is within us. It is not us. Last week when I did my talk, someone did not appreciate, or not appreciate, that's not the right word, questioned my ego. Because I made a definite statement that I created health. I used the big example was that I had a brain tumor in 2000. And that I made a conscious choice that at that moment, I would shift my eating, I would go into meditation, and I would do my prayer work, and I would make that tumor disappear. And then I did that. But the person thought it was me doing it. You see, let's talk about creation. It's co-creating. So what I fully understand is that I don't do anything, that it, the power within me, does all of that. However, what I am responsible for is my belief. So when we start talking about the co-creative process, I don't have to worry about how something gets done. That's not mine to do. I understand there's a power greater than I am doing that in me at all times. But what I am 100% responsible for is building my belief that triggers that power to act. Do you see? So I can take credit for the fact that I built a belief. It took me a year to build this belief that I could heal and make a tumor disappear by believing that that tumor no longer existed. And in that belief, the law, the power that is beyond what I am, took that belief and made that tumor eradicate into the nothingness. You see what I'm getting at? So when you hear this idea that we create, it is a co-creative process. There's a power within us that is greater than we are that responds to the nature of our thought. It's always responding to the nature of our thought. It's not that we call it forth and start to respond. It is always responding. In this moment, your mental atmosphere is creating your life. It will continue to create your life as is until you shift your belief, and in shifting that belief, you'll shift your experience. Make sense? Okay, so then, as I observe further, don't talk or listen to anything that's bad about another person. Because here's what happens. Whatever you're talking about, whatever you're listening to, is going into your mental atmosphere. And when it goes into your mental atmosphere, you will have that karma. The law of cause and effect will be responding to that nature. So if you're really steeped in politics right now, you're drawing all that energy in. And I'm going to quote Abraham. I'm not going to quote Lee Wolak here, but Abraham says this about politics. There is nothing good in politics. Can I be real clear? Because politics is trying to get you to believe that your power is in the political system. The power is not in the political system. They want you to believe that the power is in the political system. The power is within you, and if you tune out the political system, your power is so great that the political system will have no impact on you. It will not even see you. You will be vibrating at a different level and it will have no impact. But the second you believe that it has that power, you are sucked into the drama and you will have that experience in your life. It's what we focus on, what we allow in. You see, we put out energy. It tells the law, the power within us, who we are. When we listen and take in energy, we tell the law who we are. So it's both an in and receiving, a giving and receiving proposition. And we have to be aware of that. Now, who do we talk to? The person we talk to the most in our lives is ourselves. So the question I'm going to say is you don't have to start talking to other people differently. I'm going to invite you to start talking to yourself differently. If you're complaining about, woe me, I'm a victim, woe me, I'm a victim, they did this, they did that, think about where you're coming from. Are you self-empowered? And the more you say, I'm a victim, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get more victim. It's just going to keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. And that's not where we want to be. I can tell you, there's something in us. If you're here today at Agape, it's because you are saying, I don't want to play the victim role. If you're here today, there's something in you that brought you here today to say, I want to take the power back in my life, and I understand there's something greater than me and that I can use it. Now I want to know how I can use it so that I can use my gifts in the world in my unique way that brings a greater awareness and consciousness of love and peace and joy and beauty and abundance and health in the world. That's why you're here. And so it's about being as you give and be as you receive the love. The last point is always come into a conversation with no expectation. Do you see, if we let go of an expected result, we open up to infinite possibilities that we could not even begin to experience because we have a desired outcome. You see, when we have a desired outcome, we've limited our experience to that outcome or not that outcome. But if we go in with no desired expectation, we're open to an infinite possibility. We can have outcomes that we've never even thought of, dreamed of, could not even possibly imagine, and they'll happen. This last one was demonstrated over and over and over in India. I can't tell you how many times. Because in India, you have to go around expecting that nothing will happen the way you intended it because there's so much going on. And so the second something would transfer, like we were supposed to go into the Himalayas and we were supposed to be at this house and we're going to go hiking from this house. And it was glorious. This house is on the top of a 7,000-foot mountain, 7,000 feet in the air. It was at the very top. It was once owned by a king. It had a 360-degree view of all the Himalayas. We would be there with servants that would cook for us, clean for us, do everything you can imagine. Is that not a dream? And then we heard that the person we were going with, something came up, they couldn't avoid it, and immediately we knew it wasn't right. The second we just accepted it without any emotion whatsoever, the next thing you know, bam, another guru called up. Now we're making a trek 8 hours into the hillside to have the most glorious, expanded experience that I've ever had in my life. But you see, you've got to be open to the idea. You've got to know that this or something greater is always coming in. And when we do our prayer work, we talk about this. We say, don't just pray for this. Always end your prayer with this or something greater. Because there's so much more than you can imagine that is waiting to come into your life. Think about that. So as you understand the ability to communicate, think about this today. Speak only when necessary. Only when necessary. And then make sure that when you speak that you're coming from a place of love, and smile more. And then go, don't listen or speak anything bad about anyone else when they're not there or even when they are there. I posted something on Facebook the other day that caused quite a lot of feedback from a few people. And it was the aspect that I can't hurt anyone based on anything I say, but what hurts is my intention. See, if I say something with the intention to hurt someone, that goes against what? That it doesn't speak to love. It doesn't speak to speaking bad about someone. But if I'm saying something without an intention to hurt, can I hurt that person? Can I hurt that person? The answer is no. However, how they receive what I say can hurt them. The question we ask is it my responsibility? Or is it their responsibility? It's theirs. Because if you're going to worry about every time you say something, if you're going to hurt another person, you can truly never be authentic. And if you can't be authentic, then how can you be yourself? And when you deny yourself, you can't be self-loving. And without self-love, you're just screwed. Because that's the thing that it all comes down to. And so what you do is, in that situation, realizing you try to start building new relationships with the people that are close to you, and you establish the foundation and say, when I say something, I'm saying it never for the purpose of hurting you. So please, if something comes out of my mouth and you're feeling an emotional charge, go within yourself and see, why are you feeling that? Because I did not have an intention. If you feel I had an intention to hurt you, come back and ask me, did I have that intention? You see, now that's an adult conversation. That's a conversation worth having. But to have this conversation, well, you did this, she said that, he said this, he did that, it's all, whoa. No wonder we have a divorce rate higher than 50%. No wonder the people that are still married are having problems in their relationship. No wonder we have wars between countries, because we don't know how to communicate. And what I understand is that the only way that we can learn how to communicate is we start with ourselves. This is the only place that we can start. We cannot change the world, but we can change ourselves. So I invite you today to think about that and ask yourself to make that commitment. To yourself, not to anyone else, not to your partner. If you're here with a partner and your partner says, you ought to do that, tell them, You make the decision for yourself what you feel is in your best and highest interest. So let's take a moment and let's go within. So close your eyes. And let's have a conversation with that God presence within you. So hear me speaking as that presence to you. Dear, whatever your name is, I want you to know that you are a perfect expression of infinite love. I want you to know that you have been consciously created to come forth at this time to express and experience life as no one else has ever done before. I want you to know that within you is all the power, the love, the joy, the peace, the wisdom, the health, and the abundance that you could ever ask for. I want you to know that your thought guarantees that this power will respond. I promise that as you shift, your life shifts with you. I promise that you are never alone, but you are connected to the infinite presence of love that is everywhere. I promise that when you ask, it will be answered. I promise to be there with you, to love you, to support you, to see you in your truth, to know that you are perfect right now. I promise for eternity to be grateful because of who you are, what you are, and what you are doing, and what you will do. For you are the light, you are the power, you are the joy, you are it. Now step into that vision, embody that vision, embrace that vision, and allow it to come through every cell of your body. And as it does, with me now, affirm it as we say together, and so it is. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6700. 6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.